Are you overwhelmed by the endless strategies for online marketing? Whether you're a small business owner or a savvy entrepreneur, getting your message across in today's digital world can feel like navigating a maze. In this episode, Jim and Ryan are joined by online marketing expert Ashley Avis to decode the secrets of digital success. From crafting compelling content to harnessing the power of social media, Ashley shares the tools and tactics to help your business stand out in a crowded online marketplace. So stay tuned.
Wake up, it's time to rise. Talking money with sharp insight. Jim and Ryan here to guide. Mastering the money ride. Saving stacks and planning dreams. Living large by honest means. Tune in now for the schemes. Breaking down financial themes. Money mindset every day. Mastering.
Well, hello and welcome. In a heavy game of paper, rock, scissors, I've won the hosting position today. It went down to a third round. Jim tried to go best of 7, but I said, nope, Jim, that's it. So I am your host today for the Money Mindset Mastery podcast, and my co-host today, Jim. Jim, how's it going?
Feels like I'm sitting in the backseat of my car being driven around now. You know how you're always the driver, right? And then all of a sudden you kind of in the backseat going, this is amazing. So I'm feeling wonderful, and I'm excited that we have a special guest today, Ashley, joining us as well. So looking forward to today's episode.
And that's right. And I saw Ashley shaking her head a little bit as I was dancing, because before we started this episode, we were having a great debate on NSYNC versus Backstreet Boys. Now, we won't reveal the answer to that because we want to make sure that you reach out to Ashley directly to find out what her opinion is on the two groups. So with that being said, yes, I'm excited. The powerhouse world of social media. Ashley, I know we've talked about this for a little bit. And getting into some of the things that really unlock the success of social media. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thanks, guys, for having me on the show, choosing me to be a guest. I'm Ashley Avis. I work with service providers to help them show up authentically and consistently online. Yes, so many business owners come to me and they're like, I need to master social media. Can you either help me or teach me or just do it for me? And I've learned a lot. I've been doing this. I'm going into year 5. Social media changes like crazy every year. So, staying with the trends, what's working, tracking the results for service-based businesses online is kind of what I'm known for, what I do. And I'm located like right here in Niagara-on-the-Lake. A lot of my clients are local, but I do have some international clients as well, just to bounce some different ideas depending on where you're from. And I'm also a web designer and a mother of 2.
Yeah,
So,
a coach, mother too.
yep.
Most important job ever, being a
Mother of
parent,
2.
right?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
and podcasting, because I do have my own show as well, which, by the way, if you want to find out if I'm a fan of Backstreet Boys or NSYNC, you're going to have to listen to the Ashley Avis podcast and
Yeah.
find out.
Well, we may have to have some TikTok videos, a dance off perhaps, because I was definitely voted somebody who was most likely to be in a boy band back in high school. So we'll leave that there. So we can have the conversation of who's my favorite. So
yes.
Yeah, we'll park that for later because Jim's gonna lose his mind at this point.
No, I had no idea you were voted. Like that was what you were
Yeah.
voted for to be in a boy band. That's awesome.
Yeah. So yes, obviously having a strong online presence is really important. And again, Jim and I love to bring in guests that are experts in these, and hence why we wanted to reach out to you and have this. So why is having this online presence so crucial for people in today's world?
I'm really submerged in this online marketing world. So to me, the answer just seems so obvious, but there are some people out there that still haven't broke into the online scene yet, right? Sometimes I still meet a realtor or a massage therapist or a counselor, and they're still not online. And what I keep telling them is that you need to be searchable. Okay, so yes, the best of us can get by with word of mouth marketing or by converting referrals, right? And that's how I know if you are successful at converting referrals and that word of mouth marketing, that's how I know you're going to be in business in 5 years from now. But when someone hears your name, without being online, you're expecting them to remember your name, to remember your phone number, to remember how to get in touch with you. So when I'm saying, like, when you're on social media creating that content, or you've gathered an email list, or you've got your website and you're active online, you're searchable, right? And people will go and they will Google your name, and if you don't pop up, your competitors will, guaranteed. So when people ask me, like, why do I need to be online? Like, well, your competitors are, right? And I want you to be in business 5 years from now. So let's hurry up. Let's get on there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want you to
Yeah,
miss
like I
out.
no, I think it, I mean, years ago when I first started the business, if you didn't have a business card, right, you were kind of looked at as not a professional or not legit or whatever else. And nowadays, I think to your point, I think being online is our electronic version of a business card. And I even know when we're referred to a new client, for example, one of the first things I do is I search LinkedIn to see if there's a LinkedIn profile. And then I do like look for them on Facebook and Twitter just to get a sense of their personality and also it helps to spark conversation as well. If I see a client that had gone to the mountains, for example, to the Rockies, the place that I love going to, it's a great way to just kind of break the ice a little bit, right?
Totally.
So I agree. And even when I see websites that look, I don't know, a little bit cheapish, right? That for whatever reason, it just kind of throws me off a little bit as well. So maybe you could talk about that too, just, the type of content that's out there and how it's presented to the world, essentially.
Sure. But just to throw back to your business card comment, it actually reminds me of mine because I'm in year 5 of my business, right? And I just got business cards like a few months ago. It's when I met Ryan, actually. I was my first time handing out business cards. And funny enough, the only thing I really wanted on it was my QR code, which you scan it and it takes you to my website, which is what I actually want people to go on, anyways, right? I have some, it's funny that you said, like, sometimes you creep, your potential
Good.
leads or customers, right? I do the same thing. And when I get to their website and it looks like, okay, I just went to someone's website and it looked like a 1989 bathroom. I was like, whoa, it's like pink and teal and has bubble font. And I was like, ooh, this isn't.
Fuzzy seats too.
Yeah, right? Fake flowers in the corner. And I was like, okay, we really need to. It doesn't take a lot. And I'm going to speak to this today. It doesn't take a lot to bring your brand or that visual presence up to where it needs to be in 2024. There's a lot of tools and a lot of things that a busy entrepreneur can do on their own and or they can outsource but not have to pay an arm and a leg for it in 2024. So I can speak more to that, but I have some common mistakes that I'm seeing, whether it be online via your website or online via like your social media content that I've come up with, because there's some really quick fixes that I would like to share with people today. Is that good? Can I go?
Awesome.
Is that specific
Yeah.
to Ryan and I, or this generally speaking?
I won't say. Okay. So one of the first like common mistakes I see is that people are creating and drafting their content, whether it be their social media post and their captions, even their emails or their copy on their website, and they're forgetting that marketing is about being searchable, and they haven't come up with what their keywords are yet. Okay, so when I say keywords, what do you guys think? Not to put you on the spot.
Words that are
Keywords.
going to attract attention. So like action words, I guess, is what
Okay.
I'm thinking. So
Like TikTok dancer, they'll find Ryan.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely probably will.
Keywords to your industry, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah. So, like, if you look at your business and someone were to type in a few things, maybe it's a few words, like a phrase or some major words of the things that you offer and you do, and you didn't pop up in Google, you'd be offended. Okay, so when I work with my clients, I'm like, okay, what are those keywords that if someone were to search it, you would want to pop up? And there's going to be industry standard keywords, there's going to be some specific ones for your niche, and then maybe some just additional ones that really highlight your unique value, what makes you different. So I work with my clients to make sure they've got a list of at least 20 keywords or phrases that we can use on repeat in their messaging, on their website, in their social media, in their videos, just so that we are checking that searchable box. Because ultimately what we want to do is get in front of people that are looking for us, that we are like can be the solutions to their problem. What are they typing in to search for us, right? If you are missing things, like if I were to promote myself all the time but never use the words social media manager or web designer, I'm not going to pop up. So I just like to talk, like that's a big key thing, is like I will be following you forever and I still won't know what are your services, what do you do? I'm not talking about you guys specifically, but have those 20 keywords. And then also when you're stuck on what do I post today, be like, well, you can always look at that keyword list and be like, is there something I haven't talked about recently? Right? So that can also help you come up with content ideas. And it's all based on, I want to be searchable. So what are those words that I need to repeat often? Right? And then what I am actually talking about here is SEO, or search engine optimization, which as a web designer and a copywriter, I want to make sure that if I'm creating a website, it will pop up in the Google search tab, right? You want to have a website that's searchable. So having as many keywords on a website as possible is smart and strategic, but that is also how social media is working too. Gone are the days where you're going to get found because of a hashtag. And now what the algorithm is doing is actually indexing our content, our captions, looking for those keywords too, to help put our content in front of people that want to see that content. So that's like mistake number one, is not really considering like, how is my content searchable, right? Not having that list of keywords maybe on a post-it note somewhere close by or printed off somewhere pretty that you can reference often. Good tip. Does that make sense?
Excellent tip. Yeah. I
Yeah.
actually made a
Absolutely.
note of it already. So
There you go, right? The second mistake, and this one you'll start to notice this too, and I don't think you guys are guilty of this, but second mistake I see is that people, when they start posting online and they're taking the selfies or the videos and they're posting and posting no matter what platform they're on, the mistake is that they're making their content all about them. Okay, so me this, me that, or all of their captions start with the word I and they tell a story, but it's really just, maybe it's ego based. Maybe it's a positive review of 5 stars. Maybe it's what they had for breakfast that day, right? And it almost feels like, that influencer culture. But what influencers are doing really well is they're able to convert, right? As service providers, we don't have to be that influencer that's like me, 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 me. Instead, the best marketing that I can recommend in terms of messaging is all about your next client. So I read this book. Let's go right here on my shelf, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. I always recommend this book to my clients who don't see that obvious shift that they've been talking about themselves for a long time. And instead, they need to start making the main character of their story be their next client, who needs to feel seen and heard and understood in order to lean in and feel some sort of connection with you, which would start then that process of them wanting to hire you or buy from you, right? So they use this reference a lot in the book, but I love repeating it. So if your content, or if your brand's story was a movie like Star Wars, okay, your ideal client, have you seen Star Wars?
yes.
You look like you have. Okay. So if your main character is Luke, okay, then you are who? Who do you think you are? You're not Darth Vader. I'm just going to tell you that.
No.
Luke is the main
Hopefully
character.
Yoda.
Yes, you're Yoda. You're right, Ryan. So like, your content needs to be from the point of view of Luke, who's starting off as this pathetic teenager on Tatooine, and he's gonna go and eventually become some badass Jedi. There's a big transformation there. He's got his struggles, but he is not able to become that badass Jedi until he meets that ultimate guide, which is Yoda. So I tell people, how much do you see Yoda in the Star Wars series? And how much do you see Luke? And I'm talking about 4, 5, 6 here, the important ones, okay? So you see Luke a lot, which is what your content needs to be like. Your content needs to be from the point of view addressing the struggles and the values and the transformation that your client can get. And you're just, every once in a while, you sprinkle in that post about you. Hi, I understand how you feel. I've felt that way before, and I'm going to help you become that badass Jedi. So a lot of times I'll be scrolling and I'll see those service providers Sometimes they're realtors, I'll just say it. And they're like saying, hey, look what I can do, look what I can do, look what I can do, instead of, hey, I see you. I understand what you're going through. I can help you. So that's another mistake that I see a lot of the times, is that people are afraid that if I have to be on social media, that means I have to put myself out there a lot. But really, it's just that you have to put yourself out the way in a way that proves that you understand who your clients are and what they're struggling with. Does that give you guys
So
any
Ryan, our
ideas?
next, yeah. Well, no, I think our next team meeting, Ryan, I'm going to wear my Yoda outfit.
All right, perfect.
But Ryan was already going to do that.
Well, he's my Jedi.
Oh.
I am Luke Skywalker and my son is Walker, so it just all
Yeah,
fits. So
there you
Oh,
go.
that's really cute. So, yeah, are there any like mistakes that you guys are seeing out there, or things that you want me to speak to?
Social media. I don't know about specific mistakes right now. I'm going to maybe go off a little bit here. Where I notice a mistake is as simple as an email address, right? When I get someone who says they're a business, they're a company, they offer a service, and it's abccompany@gmail.com, that throws me off as well. I know that's not social media. I know it's not a website. But I see that and I'm like, I don't know if I really want to do business with that company because they don't even have like a proper domain. And, so that's something that I think is a common mistake for sure.
Yeah. It took me a while to figure out the importance of having the email address with the domain at the end. And for people out there that are watching right now and they're not tech savvy, and it is like yourbusiness@gmail.com still, maybe we're just lost. We don't even know, how do we get that inbox, right? How do we link our domain to our inbox so we can do that? And that's the kind of thing that can make a lot of us just turn the other cheek, like, oh, I'm just going to ignore that. I don't know, I don't speak tech talk, so I'm not going to do it. But you'd be surprised how easy it is these days to just Google it. But I can remember back in the day when my son was born. So actually, Ashley Avis Marketing is my second business, and I've been doing it for 5 years. But my first business was Ashley Avis Yoga, because I am a certified yoga teacher. And after I had my son, who's 9 years old now, I decided I was going to start teaching yoga privately and have my own yoga studio. It took me a while to realize, like, I actually really loved marketing the yoga studio more than I liked, actually running the yoga business, hence my pivot. But that's a whole other story. But I can remember back in the day, I was sitting there and I wanted to start my email list. I knew that I wanted to get people on my email list because when you email them, it's algorithm proof, right? You don't have to fight the social media algorithm people to see your post about your classes. You can send an email and everyone will either see it in your inbox to open it or see it in your inbox to delete it, right? So I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to grow my email list. It's going to help with my marketing. It still can, by the way, help with your marketing. I'm a big fan of email. But I remember I was sitting there and I didn't know how to Google, or what the word was to Google, to make an opt-in form. Didn't know it was called an opt-in form. So I kept Googling, how do I grow my email list? That didn't work. I got all these strategies. I'm like, yeah, I know the strategy part, but how do I actually make where you put your name and email address in? And it wasn't getting me what I needed to get. So eventually I listened to a podcast and the answer hit me like weeks later. It's called an opt-in form. And like, you're sitting in front of someone right now who is not tech savvy, but I have built over 75 websites and grown over 35 email lists for different service providers. And now I'm like realizing there is some jargon out there, yes, but it is so much easier today to figure out those techie words and that little techie stuff. Like, don't let it intimidate you, because if someone like me can do it, and it doesn't take me 5 years to figure this all out, but if someone like me can do it, you can do it. And that has been a lot of like the mindset that I've brought into my marketing business, and that I've delivered keynotes talks about, is like, if other people can do it, you can do it too. And like, thank goodness we have Google to
Okay.
help us out.
And, and what about AI?
What
Yes or
about
no?
AI for helping you figure out tech talk, or my actual opinion on AI?
Let's keep it to tech talk and assisting individuals with getting their social online, platform going, websites, whatever else, using some of these tools, because I'm sure most people can realize, like, that lady that introduced us today, that was an avatar, right? That was not an actual human being. Now, most people don't realize that, but that technology has helped us, for example, to be able to produce an episode like we're doing today. Our theme song, that wasn't something that Ryan and I sat back and started to think about, which boy band would come up with like
You
this
didn't
awesome
write
theme
that?
song. No, none of it was written. No, no, no. So how should people utilize AI to simplify things, but not necessarily rely on it too much, right? Because they
Okay.
want to personalize it as well, right?
Love the question. And I'll just say my experience with using AI only goes as far as Chat GPT. Okay. So that's just letting y'all know I haven't dove into any big AI apps or AI features in the apps I already use. So for everyone out there, when I say Chat GPT, if you know what that is, that's what I know. Okay. But here's how I feel about AI. When it first came out, as a social media manager or copywriter, I was like, I could have thought, great, there goes my job, right? Because people don't have to pay me now. They could just go onto ChatGPT and say, give me 10 posts about what I do, and there they are, right? But what I found was, since AI has come out, and I wonder if you guys have found this too, is that we are all very aware of it now. And some of us care, like, ooh, they use an avatar to introduce their show. Some people care, some people don't, right? Just either way, we're all critical of it. I think we're all becoming hyper aware of it. Pretty soon, like I think once it became popular to use Chat GPT to write your Instagram captions for you or your LinkedIn articles, we all realized, look at how generic this sounds, right? And I'm curious what you think about this, but when I use ChatGPT, I'm using it in a way to make a human sandwich. I think I told you guys about this before, where it's like I will put the prompt in, and the bigger the prompt, the better, right? But you still have to sit there and write that prompt. Like, for example, I want you to write me a social media post um, based on who my ideal client is and like 10 things about them, what they're struggling with, where they're from, what kind of language they're using in my brand voice. So then you have to type in what your brand voice is, right? And then AI, like ChatGPT, will give you your answer. And then you still have to go through it and edit it, because there's no way a computer or AI, whatever it is going to be able to sound exactly like you. I mean, and even if technology does advance, then we're all just going to get even more critical, right? Because what are we all craving? We're craving connection. We want to trust the people that we're hiring. The more the more obvious AI that is included in your content, the the less likely we are to trust you, because we don't know how much of this is actually you, right? So showing up like this, where you can see my mouth moving, this is me, that's Jim, that's Ryan, right? This is a great way to build trust, because you know it's us, right? But did we write that caption that kind of sounds generic last week? I don't know, right? What are your thoughts?
AI will never figure out my humor. That's what I know so far. So if it's not feeling genuine for me, as I look through and I try to use ChatGPT a little bit too, and to help create a spark in my brain. But I think
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to, is the genuineness and the relationship that you're trying to create with whoever your ideal audience is or ideal client is not going to come through with it yet, although
I
Terminator
know,
2
right?
shows otherwise, right? So, but it's a great tool to help navigate a little bit. And
Yes.
again, it's here. It's here to stay.
Not going away.
Either avoid it or you know use it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone needs to come out and say, like, I'm never using AI, and then that's gonna, like, oh my gosh, we love you because you promised to never use AI. I don't think that needs to happen in order to build loyalty. But there are some fun ways you can use it. Like, for example, I Sometimes I'm in a rut and I can't creatively think, okay, I can never creatively think of good titles for things. That's why my podcast is called the Ashley Avis Podcast, because I couldn't think of anything. I'm like, I'm just going to put my name on it, right? But sometimes I can give me 10 really funny titles for something like this, and that'll get my mind at least like turning again and like my mind spinning. But I also saw something really funny about a mom who wanted to write a letter to their kid's teacher, and she said, "Write a letter to my kid's teacher about this, but put it in the voice of Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek." And that was the funniest letter I ever read. Like, you
Right.
can have some fun with it, right?
Yeah. I think it's been very useful for with process for us, right? For example, in order for us to complete the production of our podcast episodes, it used to take me 6 to 7 hours because of all the social media posts and the editing and whatever else that we did as well. And now it's down to about 3 hours, right? Because there's a lot of things that has been automated
Yeah.
in terms of ideas. I mean, I'm not a creative thinker. I'm a musician. I play music. I can think that way creatively. But in terms of the written word, whenever I've written something down and I've sent it to my business partners and say, hey, can you take a look at this and make some adjustments? The only thing that stayed the same was dear client. Everything else has
Oh.
changed, right? Because that's just not my strength. However, using some AI would kind of help you get started with a rough draft and then
Mm-hmm.
help you personalize it, right?
Yeah, human
But
sandwich. Perfect.
absolutely. But in terms of content, one of the things that I've definitely have seen as a trend over the last 5 years or so is video. A lot more video. So, for example, even on the SEO side of things, my understanding is if your website has video in it, the chances are that's going to be prioritized over a website that doesn't have video. Is that correct? Incorrect? That's just from my understanding, but I'm not sure if that's accurate or not.
I don't know, that's such a specific question because there's so many factors that go into how a website can pull traffic that I've never had a client get exponential amount of clicks to their website because they hosted their video content on it. But like you, like I host my audio, the audio of my podcast on my website to help me get those extra clicks to it. But I've never, the one thing that I do say to my clients too is if you do have video to visually represent your brand, say on your homepage, right? Just keep in mind, like it's going to keep people on your website longer to watch it. You know, it can be a really great way to introduce yourself and build trust right away. Yeah, but it also can load. It could take a long time to load and mess up your mobile versions. So there's pros and cons I see, depending on how simple and how streamlined you want your site to be. But video content is definitely good for other things. There's a lot of like benefit to investing in video content, but it can seem scary, especially when it comes to social media, because people think I have to be like Ryan and master the choreography. Like I don't have those moves, you know? I can't dance and point and speak all with the camera on me, right? A lot of my clients can't, but video
Takes
is
time.
it takes practice. Right,
It
Ryan? So
requires
maybe you should give
alcohol,
us
Ryan,
tips.
right?
Tequila. But a lot of my clients will come to me, and just to reel it back to social media, they ask me things like, how do I get that engagement? Or how do I grow on these platforms? And it's hard for me to answer that question if the client isn't willing to collaboratively, did I say it right? Collaboratively?
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
hard one. Create that video content with me, right? You want to talk about it? I mean, one of the questions we had
Absolutely.
on here for content tips was like, how do I increase my engagement? Right? People ask me that all the time. You want to know? How do you increase your engagement? I say things like, well, can you be more specific? Like, what type of engagement are you looking for? That's what I will ask people. Like, do you want to get more likes and comments? Because that's good for one thing. Do you want to get more followers? Because that's good for another thing. Or do you want to actually get sales? And depending on what type of engagement you want to get, that type of video or that type of content is different, and it's going to serve a different business aligned purpose for your strategy. So a lot of what I do with my clients is I'm not just going to come to you and say, okay, you want to be online? You want to be on social media? Okay, well, let's start posting 3 times a week and they're all going to be videos. No. First, what I do is I ask them, like, what is your business goal? And if we were to invest this time and effort into social media, what are the results you want to get? What is the key performance indicators? Okay, I have to be able to measure the success. And they say, I want more engagement. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And a lot of them think that it's likes and comments, right? Likes and comments on Instagram, Facebook. You can get likes and comments on LinkedIn, TikTok, right? So I'm like, okay, likes and comments, what do those actually do? Or what do those indicate on an account? Like, what gets you the most likes on your account, whether it's your business account or your personal account?
Um,
For
that's
me, it's
hard to
personal
say.
stories. For me, it's personal
What?
stories. Often
Personal stories.
stories. When I'm sharing pictures or personal stories of things going on in my personal life, I don't
Yep.
do a lot of stuff when it comes to my own personal social media. But that's the thing that captures lots of comments and likes and hearts and thumbs ups and whatever else new
Definitely.
is going on. And I don't really follow that. So, but on the business side, I guess for us, I think for us it was just about putting out more content so people knew to educate themselves, right? And when it comes to the podcast, it's just about making sure that they know that there's not always one strategy, because I always find, especially in our business, this is the way you have to do it, and that's it. That's the only way of doing it. But that's not true. Every person is different. So that's why our content is so different, from podcasts to our short reels to what we talk about with our clients, is that there is so much to know on the financial side of helping people achieve their goal, whether it's coaching them to understand their behaviors or it's helping them in retirement. There's and different stages those people are at. One
Yeah.
individual that's a family, or an individual that's a single parent, right? Like, everything is so different. So it's just for us, for me at least, it's putting out content so you're at least adding value, that somebody's going to walk away learning something or going to share that with somebody else.
Well,
You have a
if I think,
great,
I'm the one that looks at our
yeah.
analytics. So if I look at our analytics, the ones that drive those increases in likes is one of two things. Either, hey, there's a big, huge tax change is about to happen, and you need to know what that is, and that
Well,
drives a
yeah.
lot of likes and clicks. Or when we've shared personal stories, like my personal health story, and how having certain type of insurance helped me get through that situation, right? But whenever we talk about things like financial planning, RSPs, retirement planning, there's just so much content out there that we don't really attract a lot of attention with that type of content, right?
I don't know why it's so sexy, you know?
Yes,
It's
I
like,
know.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes you
Okay,
want to
what I'm hearing.
dance.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna like go in down this rabbit hole. Okay, here's what I'm hearing. Okay, and this is what people notice all the time. Like Ryan, you said at the very beginning, what gets you the most likes and comments is usually that personal content or the selfies, the picture of you with your kids, your morning coffee, and your stories. Like the likes and comments are usually coming from your current followers who are your loyal fans, right? So when my clients come to me like I want to get more likes and comments, I'm like, okay, so you want to retain your current followers, especially if you're following your clients, right? You want to retain them. You want to make content for the people that you already have. And if that's the case, they're like, yep, that's what I want to do. Then we go for it. We post the selfies, we post the pictures of the kids or the puppies, and we get the likes and comments, right? If this is you listening or watching right now, and you are somehow watching this before Halloween, post a selfie in your Halloween costume, your engagement will go up. Okay. But then Jim, you said something else. The ones that get you the most link clicks. Okay. That's a different type of engagement. When someone's clicking your link to go to something extra. So maybe it's from a short form social media post, like an Instagram post about this episode, right? And the link that they click will get them off of Instagram and onto where they can watch the long form content. Maybe it's on your website. That is technically a sales post. Okay, something that asks someone to get off of the app that they're currently on and go do something, whether it's consume this information, join my email list, get my free guide, go to my website, contact me, even DM me. That is sales engagement, right? It's asking them to do something to get them into your ecosystem for your business. And that type of content is very different than loyalty content, right? You have to deliver the value. You have to be a little bit more analytical. You have to have that very clear call to action. And typically, when you're in a sales phase, okay, those are phases of marketing that are a lot shorter because all your other types of engagement will tank when you're always talking about sales content, which I'm using the word sales because I'm not afraid to use it. But for you guys, like, you're not actually selling, you're actually just delivering more value, right? Like, here's a free guide or a free episode. You're not selling anything. There's no call to action to buy, but it's still getting people off of the app and redirecting their attention. That is a type of sales, right? And then what we were talking about before with the video content, or for the client that says to me, well, I want more engagement. And they come to me and I'm like, okay, well, who do you want to engage? Your current followers or new potential followers? And they're like, yeah, let's grow a big audience so I have people to actually like and comment, people to retain, people to sell to. Then I throw them in a growth phase, and you can't succeed in a growth phase without that short form video content that has that viral component, and it needs to be about Luke and you need to be Yoda. Okay, it needs to be from the point of view of who is going to follow me next and why, right? So adding in like those value statements or shareable content like funny memes or quotes or little snippets of education, little tiny tidbits of tips like education, those can go viral too, especially if they can deliver a quick win to someone, right? So those are like the three main strategies I will put my clients in. Growth, to help them grow a following that they can engage with. Sales was what usually follows growth, because now that you've grown a bunch of followers, we can now sell to them, right? Because we don't want to be selling to the same people over and over and over again. And then our loyalty phase is when you were ready for those likes and comments and to have some conversations with people that can like really show up for you, your loyal fans, and you can retain that following of people. A lot of this is very much aligned with what phase of business a business is in. And it works really well, I find, with service-based businesses. So if you're watching right now and you're a product-based business, I don't know if there's other things that you can do, but service-based businesses, this is where it's at. This is the type of strategy that I find is working with my clientele right now, no matter if they're in Canada, right here in Niagara, or they're international, like in the US or in the UK. So it's working.
Now,
Did it just go
Ashley,
like this?
no, no.
Okay.
My question, because this comes up a lot as well, should people be paying to advertise on social media?
Mm. Service-based businesses, there is a lot that you can do organically, aka for free, to get that brand awareness. Okay. So before you pay for ads, and I've had clients come to me, they're already invested in Google ad campaigns, or they've boosted posts or done Facebook campaigns, right? Before they laid their foundation, right? So I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't pay for ads or you don't have to pay for ads. You can, but before you do, you should have a tried, tested, and true organic strategy in place before you start putting money into it. You need to make sure that it'll work before you pay, so that you know for sure when you pay, it will work more. So for example, get your branding done, right? And I'm not talking about your logo, I'm talking about your messaging. Know what you want to say and how you want to say it, how you want it to visually look and sound as well. And then make sure you have like, okay, if someone finds me on social media, where are they going to learn more about me? So you got to have like that home or that hub online, aka a website that tells your full story and is really good at converting people into leads or clients already. right? So like if your website hasn't gotten you any leads and you're like, well, it's probably just because I don't have enough traffic. Well, test it out a little bit, okay? Like make sure that your website, go through it, test it a bit and see, is this website capable of converting, or is there some flaws with it? Does it look like a 1989 bathroom? You know?
There's
Yeah,
so much
I could talk about that a
comfort
lot.
in those comfort in the fuzzy covers to the
I
bathroom
know what
toilets.
I'm
So
getting you for Christmas.
So
yeah,
actually, I know people can spend time and resources. Um, how does one measure success in putting out the social media content, online content? How does one measure that success?
Right. Well, I guess it just depends on what results you want to get. So I really stress the importance of like, if you're a business owner and you want to succeed with online marketing, as much as you would resist the tech talk or the marketing words and whatever, like you have to lean in and start to do your research and start to understand how this works. Because one of my biggest topics that I talk about, whether I'm at networking events or on my own show, on my own podcast, or just talking with friends, is that there are a lot of people out there that you can hire to do this for you that'll claim to get you the results. But if you don't interview them and you don't ask them for their track record, and you don't ask them, well, how is this going to help me grow my business? Okay. If you don't understand at least like the basics of what the strategy is that you're investing in, then it's going to be really hard to actually know if you're winning or losing. Okay. I've had clients where I've sent them their analytics reports and I even attached little Loom videos to explain to them what these results mean. And some of them watch it and they're like, this makes sense. And some of them just admit, I didn't have time to watch it, but I trust you. Right. And those are the people that I've been working with for over a year, like months and months of working together. They got to the point where they can trust me. But I spent a year educating them on they can expect, what's realistic in their industry. And I've shown them the numbers. So I guess the biggest takeaway I have for anyone listening is if you are going to outsource your social media or your web design or any online marketing strategy, you don't just outsource it to someone and be like, okay, now you handle it. You have to still keep, an eye on it. You have to still put a collaborative effort and do your best to understand it, because there are people out there that will charge you a lot of money and they won't actually move the needle in any way, shape, or form, and you might not even know it. So that's the biggest takeaway here. Warning, there are web designers, there are social media managers out there that claim they can get you the results and get your business to explode, right? I just really want you to be critical, ask the questions, interview them first, and ask them for that track record.
like anybody that you hire, you want to interview a few people and feel what is the right fit. And you brought this when we first met too, talked about that, is like there's a lot of people. Why we host this podcast is to help people make money or save money, and you flat out said there's a lot of people wasting money out there, throwing in big dollars for something that's not going to get any return on their investment. And again, they're not paying attention enough to know what is truly
Mm-hmm.
happening to their business. So, great takeaway for a lot of clients that are looking to expand their business and their branding, and making sure
Mm-hmm.
that they're hitting the right social media things. What do you see as like the next steps for the future of online in the marketing world? Like, we're in 2024. Instagram, Facebook, clearly there's probably something else coming down the pipeline. I heard a rumor that TikTok is no longer in the US as of the next year. Like,
Great.
there's a yeah. So what do you see as some things that the future holds for marketing?
All right. I'm not like a fortune teller or psychic, but this is what I hope happens in 2025. Okay. What I'm hoping is that people will start to streamline where they are showing up. So, for example, stop spreading yourself thin, doing all the things: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, LinkedIn, right? Stop spreading yourself thin and instead get really good and specific at knowing where your clients are coming from and just go all in there. And imagine the freedom we'll all have just knowing that, okay, you know what, I'm only going to focus on these two because these are the two platforms that are moving the needle for me. And you get really good at it and you do more of what's working for you and leave the others behind. Even if you were getting minimal results, like results are results from the other platforms, it's okay to say no. I'm only going to focus on the ones that are working for me. I would love that. Okay. And then another thing too is I really hope, and I'm seeing the trend already from 2024, I really hope that long form content becomes a thing again. Okay. And as I'm doing this, we are creating long form content right here. There has been value in this episode, right? We are teaching people, we are offering ideas. And I find that when you're in short form content land, we are addicted to the reels and the TikToks. You're getting 15 to 60 seconds to teach someone something, and it's not fair. When you're an expert and you're like, okay, this, but with this, and this, we can't go to X, Y, and Z when we're stuck on A, right? So I'm hoping that long form content will rise back up and we'll see a lot more views, a lot more downloads of things like YouTube or blogs or podcasts where people who are actually interested in what we are experts in will start to consume, and that then will build that loyalty and that trust and convert for us too. Okay, so I love long form content in terms of SEO or website optimization because there are so many keywords in long form content that it just helps with like your Google clicks for your website, and your website, if it's done well, will convert people into email subscribers or leads. So my two predictions is that we'll streamline where we're showing up and give ourselves a little bit of a breather, focus on what's getting us results and just go all in on that platform. And then focus more on that long-term good quality content. Don't just get AI to write that blog, write it yourself because we will figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. The long, again, as you said, we're providing a lot more information, hopefully with a little bit of humor at the same time, because again, finance is not
Phew.
sexy at all in any way. But hey, you never know. But I'm sad to hear that my TikTok dances will no longer be a trend of the future. But
I'm
that
not
just
sad.
means more time. Sorry, you're
I'm
not
not
sad.
sad. I'm not sad.
Yeah.
It's funny, I don't have TikTok. I don't go on TikTok. And people think because I'm known for, social media marketing, of course Ashley has TikTok. I'm like, yes, I have an account. I've shared my Instagram reels to TikTok, but have I ever logged in? I don't really go on there because TikTok is just, oh, people are going to hate me for this, but I think TikTok is just ugly Instagram. So I just stay on Instagram.
We were kind of debating the whole TikTok thing, and then an incident happened this summer that I shared with Ryan. I was out in Mont Tremblant with my family and
Mhm.
having dinner, and I don't know what the conversation was with my 15-year-old son, but it led to him saying, well, Dad, you own a business and you have a podcast, right? And at first I thought he was making fun of me, right? And then he's like, well, actually, two of my good friends listen to your podcast through TikTok. And again, I thought he was making fun of me, right? And he's like, no, he's like, he goes, I'm serious. They want to learn about investing in finances. So they found you on TikTok and now they listen to you on YouTube or on the podcast. And I thought, for me, that was a measure of success, right? Knowing
Yes.
that two 15-year-old boys are actually listening to some older, I won't say the word, gentlemen, let's say, and they're listening to us because they want to learn about investing and prepare for the future. That to me was a successful moment, right? Or other times where Ryan and I have talked to clients because we don't really know who's listening or who's watching, right? We just
Right.
know numbers, but don't know specifics. And we'd have a client come and say, we listened to this one episode and this is what you talked about. And we never thought about that. So now we've talked to our kids about it, and we're like, okay, that's great. Our content is working. It's resonating with people. So just on a personal story point of view, for us, that feels good. knowing that they're listening,
Definitely.
they're learning, right? And they're taking that information with them. So I think we need
I
to
love
start to
that.
kind of wind this down a little
Yep.
bit. So Ashley, any final comments or thoughts? We could probably go on for another hour, I'm guessing, right? But yeah, probably need to wind this down now.
Yeah. Well, one of the last questions you asked me was, how do we know if it's working, right? And like what you just said, if your friends or family or your leads or your clients are coming to you saying, I listened to that episode, or I saw your video, or I loved your post about this, you have to take that verbal feedback as king, like, right? That's how you know. If you feel good inside, that's how you know you're going in the right direction, right? You're showing up authentically and you're serving the right people. So keep doing what you guys are doing, because that sounds perfect. If anyone has any other, questions about social media, my take on it, or you want my 2 cents, you could follow me on Instagram at Ashley Avis Marketing. That's my preferred platform. As service providers, I think we all could really benefit from a great booming Instagram account. And then, or you could go to my website, ashley.avismarketing.com. I have over 90 episodes of the Ashley Avis podcast. And I was saying, like, to Ryan, my episodes are short. Like, they are 10 to 20-minute episodes. Most of them are solo episodes where I'm just giving out free advice. This is what worked for me. This is what worked for a client. And it's like consumable on-the-go marketing tips that are pretty up to date. And I don't flip-flop my strategy around a lot. I'm pretty consistent on what I'm saying on there, and hopefully it starts to sink in and hit home to the people that are DIYing their marketing right now.
Awesome.
Well, the force is strong with this episode, I feel. So, Jim, do you want to remind everybody where they can get a hold of us?
You're going to do this to me now, eh?
Yeah.
So you can find us on our website at tvhfinancial.ca. If you'd like to email us, you can email us at financial@tvhgroup.ca. And finally, if you want to use a good old-fashioned telephone, you can call us at 647-727-4668. And obviously, we're on all the social media platforms, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Is that good? And, Instagram. We are on Instagram as well. All right, Ryan, are you going to wind this up for us?
Yes, Jim, thank you very much. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us on the Money Mindset podcast.
Yes, thank you.
It was so wonderful to have you. And again, if you're looking for an expert in the social media world, whether it's content, coaching within it, reach out to Ashley. Wonderful person. And she can tell you whether or not NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. With that, I hope everybody has a great day.
All right. Thanks, Ashley. Take care.
Why is it me? Why am I that guy? I still buy low, still say